One of the most important drawings Helen Regenstein bought was one of her last. Claude's magnificent vista of the panorama from the Sasso, created at the end of his life and belonging to the choicest part of the treasured 17th century album coming from the artist estate through Prince Odescalchi that was maintained until 1980. Helen Regenstein's children, Joseph Regenstein and Betsy Hartman, continued to build on their mother's collection after her death, helping us to acquire another early drawing by Claude from the same part of that very special intact album, which you see on the right. Fortunately, the Margaret Day Blake and Regenstein endowments enable us to continue to build the collections in like fashion to this day. Among the selfless philanthropists who helped build the collection in Chicago, Dr. William D. Shorey stands out. He and his wife Sally were close friends of Harold Joachim, who died in 1983. Sally herself suffered a debilitating stroke about that time, and Bill thought that engaging her in the acquisition of works of art for the collection might help her rally. He quickly became intrigued himself, and when the Duke of Devonshire decided he needed to sell some of his finest prints to save the family's great house at Chatsworth in 1985, Bill took an unusual interest in the sale, encouraging us to go for the great monotype of God Creating Adam by Gian Benedetto Castiglione, thought to be the first work in that medium, that wonderful medium that's half print, half drawing. Fueled by a family connection to the Devonshires, his uncle Kingman Douglas had married the 9th Duke of Devonshire's widow, Adele Astaire, sister of Fred. Bill Shorey and others enabled us to acquire this pivotal image for the collection. He also took delight in building the collection of French and British drawings. In a reversal of the Schneewin model, he took my colleague, Martha Tedeschi, then associate curator, recently appointed deputy director for art and research, and me to London on the QE2 twice. Here I show you other gems he snared for us: Claude Gillot's Mischievous Harlequin and Thomas Jones' View of Tivoli in 1777. He also created an endowment, allowing us to make purchases in Sally's name and build the British School. But he also bought drawings for himself, with those coming eventually to the Art Institute that related to our collections, such as Guercino's study for the entombment painting, shown proudly in our newly renovated Allerton galleries. And if you haven't been out to Chicago, I encourage you to come and see not only the modern wing, but what it's enabled us to do with the rest of the museum. Other works went to his children, stimulating them to collect as well. With the advent of greater use of computerization in the late 1980s, and encouraged by an NEA grant, I initiated a drawings documentation project, which Laura Giles, present here today, helped me with, to improve the scholarship on our holdings, evaluate and target the growth of the collection. This project brought a number of world-renowned experts in Old Master drawings to Chicago, and combined with some exceptional drawing exhibitions from Budapest, Windsor Castle, the Tylers Museum, and the Gabinetto in Rome, created an environment in Chicago that was conducive to collecting Old Master drawings. A new constellation of collectors gradually formed around the Art Institute, each with a different perspective and plan. Here I show Emile Nolde's portrait of the dancer Mary Wigman, which evokes the youthful beauty of one of these collectors, Dorothy Browd Edinburgh, with us today. She was not even from Chicago, but like Helen Regenstein, believed in forming a collection of major master drawings for a museum. The only child of two conscientious connoisseurs of Asian and decorative arts in Boston, she began collecting drawings early on, as soon as she graduated from that other woman's college, Wellesley. And from the beginning showed a creativity and commitment to quality, condition, and documentation that was unusual for a non-professional. Having built a substantial collection of prints, drawings, and Asian works, in 1991, she started looking for an appropriate home for it. writing to Art Institute director Douglas Druick, who was then Prince Trust curator of prints and drawings in Chicago, saying she was, quote, interested in finding out about your collections with the idea in mind of perhaps naming your institution in my will. Thus began a wonderful association and collaborative effort involving many different museum professionals over the past 20 years, spawning 4 exhibitions and countless installations of her diverse collections in Chicago. An active attendee of all important auctions in London and New York, Dorothy has been not a rival, but a partner, allowing us to unite works that relate to or enhance the collections, such as Monet's Grain Stacks, or Metzinger's Woman in a Hat of 1913, clearly important for Chicago. But more importantly, partnering with Dorothy has made it possible for us to participate in auctions more easily than museum structure allows. We can focus our attention on the research, the condition, and the market value without being burdened by the intricacies and politics of museum procedure, requiring approval from many people and committees, and with the possibility of letting down as many if unsuccessful. It has been thrilling to see her collection grow, with Degas' early nude of 1858 on the right, purchased at auction in May 1995, for example, and Cézanne's early nude of the following decade, captured just some months later in November 1996. Just as Dorothy could delight with us in bringing these 2 drawings together within 18 months, so she spearheaded our ambitions to build a collection of 19th century German drawings, buying this rare Schinkel in 1996 on the left of the screen, and the beguiling Tischbein in 2003, among others. Again, in the spirit of partnership rather than rivalry, Dorothy purchased this drawing by Proudhon from the auction of a Chicago estate, returning it to Chicago whence it came. We, of course, have been useful to her, finding attributions when needed, such as the delightful drawing on the left, on vellum, long unconvincingly attributed to Stefano della Bella, which I was able to identify as the Italian artist Valerio Spada, after etchings by Jacques Callot. As of this moment, Dorothy Edinburgh has assembled a formidable collection of works, with around 100 drawings already fully or partially given to the Harry B. and Bessie K. Browdy Memorial Collection in memory of her parents at the Art Institute. If Dorothy Edinburgh researches her acquisitions with the indefatigable vigor of a graduate student in art history, imagine the careful thought and planning behind a highly focused collection of Italian drawings assembled by Jean Goldman, a PhD recipient in Italian art from the University of Chicago. Both native Chicagoans, Jean and Stephen Goldman, came forward in 1999 with the funds to support a major renovation of the Art Institute's entire print and drawing facilities, and reiterated their intention to give their entire collection of drawings to the museum in 2002, with the dedication of the Jean and Stephen Goldman Prints and Drawing Study Center. Jean, a specialist in 17th century Italian collector Castiano del Pozzo, one of whose drawings you see here, has been a member of the Women's Board since 1985, on the Committee on Prints and Drawings since 1990, and a life trustee since 2000. This is a major study by Italian artist Francesco Vanni, who's going to be the subject of a great exhibition at Yale coming up next year. A beloved teacher and lecturer, Jean has focused particularly on Mannerist drawings. An exhibition of over 130 of those drawings opened at the Art Institute in 2008, with an international symposium from the natural to the fantastic, Italian drawings 1500 to 1650, and a scholarly catalog written principally by Nicholas Turner. Like Dorothy Edinburgh, the Goldmans are faithful attendees of old master drawing sales in New York and London, but also buy from private dealers who have become dear friends, such as Joan Nisman and Mort Abramson, and Kate Gans, who offered them this magnificent Guercino drawing that you see on the right of the screen, a monumental study for the same composition as a drawing in the Art Institute's collection, the Martyrdom of St. Bartholomew of 1635-36 that you see on the left, which we've had since 1960. Another nice connection with the Art Institute's collection is this sheet by Taddeo Zucchero. Like the famous sheet on the left, given to the Art Institute as a Michelangelo by our director in 1928, it was John Gear who corrected that attribution in 1963. The Goldman sheet on the right relates to stories of the life of St. Paul in the Frangipani Chapel in San Marcello al Corso of 1556-58. Again, it is more a question of partnership than rivalry between collector and curator here, as their collection, close to 200 works today, continues to add magnificent and varied artists to an already impressive stable. A true teacher, Jean often remarks what pleasure it brings her to imagine her collection being actively used and appreciated at the Art Institute one day. Speaking personally, it was thrilling sitting beside them at Christie's Holcombe Hall sale in London in 1991 as they debated the merits of the Domenichino sheet that you see lower right, or poring over drawings offered at Paris's Salon du Dessin, such as this extraordinary model for a fan by Baccio del Bianco you see on the left. There was their capture at auction in 1996 of a magnificent Perino del Vaga, study for an altarpiece coming from Chatsworth. And they bought one of their great masterpieces, The Sacrifice of Peleus to Neptune of 1584, by Agostino Carracci from Mark Brady. A sequel to their first exhibition is planned for the Art Institute for 2014. If Jean Goldman brings academic credentials to her collecting, Richard Gray brings a lifetime career as a renowned dealer in modern and contemporary art to the works that he and Mary have assembled over the course of a lifetime. It has been fascinating to watch as they have penetrated increasingly back in time, so that their collection, while unified by the eye that formed it, reaches across 7 centuries of works on paper. This anonymous portrait, attributed to North Italian artist Bonsignori, graced the cover of the catalog designed by Massimo Vignelli, their dear friend, for their show at the Art Institute in 2010. In a city like Chicago that values modern art so highly, Richard's venture into past masters alongside modern works has been very, very stimulating. Many of these old master works have been acquired by the Grays in the past dozen years only, ranging from Florentine figurative works by Perino del Vaga and, on the right, by Giovanni Battista Naldini, both acquired in 1999, to the coloristic, supremely iconic Annibale Carracci drawing for the Palazzo Farnese that we saw earlier today, and the monumental serenity of the North Italian Cartone by Lanino, purchased at the Salon du Dessin, just steps ahead of the Louvre. The Grays' philanthropy to countless Chicago cultural institutions is legendary, including a recently endowed new humanities center at the University of Chicago. It's tremendous to realize what treasures have been garnered for our city by them. Among the highlights of promised gifts are the unusually vivid drawing of a night by Giuseppe Porta Salviati, you see on the right. The Youth in the Position of the Spinario by Rubens, and the large and impressive Seat of Studies by Poussin